At Central Electric Cooperative, safety is our first priority. We'd like to begin tonight the way we begin every field job and internal meeting, with a safety message. Please take a moment to identify the nearest exit. In case of emergency, please move quickly and calmly to those exits. While we do not expect a weather event, we have a backup generator on site in case of a power outage. We will provide specific instructions for you in that situation. Emergency trained staff are on site. Please find a central employee wearing a gray shirt if you require assistance or see something suspicious. We thank you for your help in maintaining a safety-first environment. Enjoy the meeting.
It's evening in America, and Main Street has never been brighter. Because 3 generations ago, friends and neighbors band together to energize the future. They brought power to the community and built an electric co-op. Since then, your community and your co-op have grown up side by side through ice and rain and growing pains, through tough times and boom times, keeping the power flowing reliably and steadily to do more for you than ever before. Today, your local co-op proudly stands as part of the national network of Touchstone Energy Cooperatives, which means you receive best-in-class service for your community at an affordable price. We celebrate the cooperative difference by bringing you not only power, but the power of human connections. Touchstone Energy Cooperatives, your source of power and information.
Would y'all stand, remove your hats, do the presentation of the flag. Right after that, we'll have flag salute. Right after that, we'll have invocation. So please keep standing at this time. Flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for this group of people, which are members of the co-op and owners of the co-op, for being here tonight. We want to thank you for the health and wealth each one of us receive throughout our lives. Be with those that are not as fortunate as we are in this room and take care of them and bless them. Give us all a safe trip home tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Y'all can be seated, except if you serve in the military, please stay standing. Let's all give these young men and women thank you all very much. Sometimes we take ourselves for granted the freedoms we got in this world, and if it wasn't for you guys and ladies, we wouldn't have that freedom. So I thank you, and we all thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
I call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. I really thank you for the effort you made to be here, because I tried coming north out of Cushing and the road was closed. So some of the rest of you probably did the same thing. I'd also like to recognize some special people here tonight. From Senator Imhoff's office, I have Ryan Sproles. I also have other people attending from statewide cooperative families. So let's give them all a hand, please. I'd like to thank you guys for attending. Now I would like to introduce Central's Board of Trustees, and I'd ask you to hold your applause and announce each board member. Starting with District 1, Gary McCune and his wife, Yolanda. District 2, Stu Preston and his wife, Marlene. District 3, Carol DeVorick and her husband, Scott. District 4, Lynn Tontz and his wife, Linda. District 5, Mark Pittman and his wife, Carla. District 6, Raymond Nettles. District 8, Buddy Hammond and his wife, Nettie. And my name is Bill Davis, and I represent District 7. Please give them a round of applause. We have an excellent board who truly has your best interest in mind. I'm also excited to announce that your Board of Trustees has completed the nationwide search for Central's new CEO, and Hunter Robinson has accepted the CEO position. I'd like for y'all to give him a big round of applause. We're certainly looking forward to Hunter serving for us. Hunter has served the membership of Central for 20 years in various roles, including many years as a lineman. The last 6 months, he has done an outstanding job leading the Cooperative interim general manager, and we look forward to his continued leadership as CEO. Now I'm going to turn the meeting over to Max Myers, our Cooperative attorney. Max?
Good evening. Several of your members have been appointed tonight to serve on the Election and Credentials Committee as required by our bylaws. At this time, I'd like to introduce those individuals and would ask that you would hold your applause till we finish the introductions. Mr. Rod Longer, Judy German, Jamie Carey, Leon Caldwell, Peggy Wolf, Dennis Delano, Winona Clark Skelly, and Mr. Calvin Lister. Please join me in thanking them for their service tonight. Our bylaws are in tandem with the state statute that requires 5% of the membership to be present before business can be conducted. If you do not have 5%, you will still be able to present the presentations of the board, however, you cannot conduct any business. Mr. President, the Election Credentials Committee is certified to be 790 members, which we're a little bit short of that 5% quorum. Therefore, we can proceed with the Secretary Treasurer's report from Ms. DeVore.
It is an honor to serve as the Secretary-Treasurer for the Board of Trustees, and I appreciate that. But for a lot of years, I was a school teacher. And so I want everybody to get their program or their informational brochure. It's in your packet of your goodie bag that you got. You'll get that out. The information I'm going to be showing you tonight is also in that brochure. So refer to it, and anything I mentioned tonight, if you start thinking about it later and you're wondering what was that she said, look in that booklet and you'll be able to follow what I'm talking about. Tonight we're going to talk about the cooperative principles. There's 7 basic cooperative principles. And number 3 is members' economic participation. That means that you participate as a member and an owner of this business. You have economic commitment there. You pay your bills. And you also have the opportunity to enjoy the benefits of a good year. In 2018, we were able to return $740,000 to the members in patronage capital. We're really pleased that we were able to do that last year. But you'll notice from the information that in the last 5 years, we've done a total of around $6 million. So we're real pleased that we are able to continue with that kind of progress. Central is a not-for-profit cooperative. So we don't earn or we share in all of our profits, and that's why you're able to receive that patronage capital. This slide, the 49.4% equity percentage, is the percent of assets that you own as part of your equity in the co-op. This is a fantastic percentage. We take debt management very seriously. We watch that very closely, and this is a very good percentage to be at. Central spent $57.2 million last year to provide electricity to all of you. But as you can see from this information, 66% of that cost was how much we had to pay for power. We pay KMO for the electricity that we then provide for you. So 66%, significant figure. Operations and maintenance costs are 21%, and our fixed costs are just 13% of our total expenses. Now, what is our cooperative made up of? What kind of members do we have? Well, 56% are residential, 39% are commercial, and 5% are industrial. Central serves a unique area. Edmond, Guthrie, and Stillwater are all experiencing a lot of growth outside their city limits, which is a benefit to us. So we have seen increase in that 56% of residential. But because of that, we have a unique situation too, in that our peak load last March, remember March and how it stayed cool? Well, last March, we had a peak day where you guys used 131 megawatts of power. That's a lot. And it's hard to really think about what 131 megawatts means. But that's the equivalent of providing the power for 450 big box stores. So think about that. We've been able to provide our service and keep our rates low. The average residential rate is 9.55 cents per kilowatt hour. In the state of Oklahoma, the average is 10.6 cents, and nationwide is 12.9. So we have beat the state average as well as the national average. I'm not sure if you guys can see that very well, but Hawaii is 29.5 cents per kilowatt hour. Isn't that something? So, again, one of those reasons why we're all glad that we're here in Oklahoma. Now, we have been able to keep our rates low, even though we still have just an average of 5 meters per mile of line. And if we compare that to other people that provide power, for let's see, public utilities such as PSO have 48 meters per mile of line, and investor-owned utilities like OG&E have an average of 34 meters per mile of line. So think about the difference. They are very condensed, and we are very spread out. It means we have a whole lot more to take care of. This information I'm really proud of, and this was for last year in 2018, but we were up 99.98% of the time. compare to other co-ops by on an average, and then also municipal investor owns. But if you also look at the system average frequency, only 1.25 outages, and then look at the average duration, it averages less than 2 hours. And still we're beating other co-ops and then municipal investor owned. Now, you guys, the whole reason that happened is because we have really, really terrific employees. And we need to let them know that. The entire employee group, from operations to engineering, works very hard to be sure the reliability remains at the highest level possible. They have regular pole inspections. They have a right-of-way policy that they want to be sure that is always kept clear. And because they do those things, take that initiative to be proactive instead of reactive, we have been able to maintain percentages like these. And then finally, there is additional information, financial information in the brochure that you've been given. Our auditing firm, Bollinger, Seegers, Gilbert, and Moss, got started late on our audit, so we don't have final audited figures in the document that you have there. But we will publish those on our website, and we will also make that information available to you in the Empowered newsletter. If you have any questions that you would like to ask any of the board members or a new manager, feel free to get with us after this program is over. We do have a very short board meeting that we are required to conduct it will only take us a few minutes right after this meeting is over, but we would be happy to answer any questions that you might have. People have indicated that they like this format, but we know that for many of you, you're going to use your meal card after you leave tonight. We also want you to know that every fall we have aware meetings. So really watch for those days, because that is a smaller group. We provide a meal at that. And it's very easy for you to ask questions in that smaller group environment, and you would probably feel more comfortable at that particular event. So please watch for those dates. Remember, next fall, you'll see those. And I'd like to turn this over to Bill.
I want you to know Carol she's an excellent secretary-treasurer. She replaced a guy like me that was terrible. But she is really good, and she school teaches us to get things done right too, just like she did you and I. Carol, thank you. You do a great job for us. Tonight is a very special night. Tonight you are attending the 80th annual meeting of Central Rural Electric Cooperative. I still run into people who remember when the lights came on for the first time in their home. I always enjoy visiting with these individuals. My grandmother lived down on a farm east of Paris, Texas, and when we'd go visit, they had no running water, no electricity, so we used the outhouse, drew the water from the well. She cooked on a wood stove, we slept on feather beds. Like later she moved to Dallas, and we'd say, "Grandma, don't you wish you still lived down on the farm?" And I think you all know the answer to that. She said, "Heck no." They have a true appreciation for rural electrification because they experienced what life was like without electricity. I am thankful for Central, our lineman employees who ensure that our members have safe, reliable, and affordable power. It is something we seldom have to think about nowadays. It's just there when we flip the switch. I'm also thankful for you, the membership, who took time out of your busy schedules to be here tonight. Central has existed for the past 80 years because we have an engaged membership like you who participate in member meetings and the democratic process. Democratic member control is one of the 7 cooperative principles that set cooperatives like Central apart from other utilities. It is also the reason we're here tonight. So again, I say thank you for coming. The other principal properties include voluntary and open membership, members' economic participation, autonomy and independence, education, training, and information, cooperation among cooperatives, and last, concern for communities. We think about these at every board meeting. These are very dear principles to all the board members, and so we really hold to it. Next, I'd like to introduce a special group of people. Each year, Central meets with group members who have agreed to become Central ambassadors. These individuals provide feedback to the board and staff. They are reaffirmed that we're doing right, our office suggestions on things we could do better. So if you're an ambassador, please stand and be recognized. Ambassadors, please stand. Thank you for your service. Another group that I'm particularly proud of, because I actually came up through that group before I was a board member here, and that is our Central Foundation Board. Central, I think I got out of line here, but let's go ahead and get to them while I'm here. If you're on the foundation board, would you please stand and be recognized as I call your name? Just a second here, I'll forget somebody. You don't think they're listed? Then please stand. That's why I don't see your name. Please stand and be recognized as you're on the board of the foundation board. And they do a great job. If you haven't ever applied for a grant, you need to do so because they study them hard. Central's theme of 2019 at the 9th annual meeting is empowering our community. Central serves more than 20,000 leaders in 7 counties, and within those counties are 28 communities that Central has a vested interest in. Cooperatives have always had a concern with communities. In fact, that is one of the cooperative principles. Central supports our communities because they are where our members live, work, and play. And Central is able to do this one way by the generosity of you, the Central members, by participating in Operation Roundup. Each year, individual and organizations throughout Central's service area benefit from Operation Roundup. Central members gave over $65,000 in 2018 to help those in need. And I want you to know that this is a really great opportunity. If you're not currently participating in it, all you have to do is contact the office and I'll make sure you're allowed. If you're not familiar with it, we just simply round your bill up to the next dollar, and the most it could cost you is less than $12 a year. In fact, it shouldn't have cost anywhere near that. Another way Central invests in our community is through our youth programs. Central helps our local school providing electrical safety demonstrations throughout the year. Safety is our biggest priority at Central, and there is nothing more important than teaching our youth about the dangers of electricity. In addition to safety programs each year, Central holds a 2-part competition open to all service area high school juniors. Students submit essays or videos on selected topics. Out of 38 submissions this year, a panel of judges selected the top 6 students to compete in the final portion of the competition. The 6 finalists present their ideas to a panel of judges, and Central sends 2 winners on the youth tour to a week-long trip to Washington, D.C., where they're able to tour the nation's capital and meet Oklahoma's legislators. And they also meet students from across the United States. Before we recognize these 2 youth tour winners, I'd like to congratulate the 4 runners-up for a job well done. It was certainly a tough competition, so please give the runners-up a round of applause. And now I would like to ask Tanner Thomas and Peyton Watkins, Central's 2019 Youth Tour winners, to come up to the stage. They will be attending this year's Youth Tour group trip in June. Please help me in congratulating Tanner and Peyton as we present them a trophy to commemorate their accomplishments. our new CEO, but he does have one thing to do, and that's keep it short. That's what I told him. If he wants the job, he'll keep it short. Hunter.
Well, thank you for being here tonight. It's definitely an honor to be able to speak to you about a cooperative that's done so much for myself and my family and really serves the mission that I believe in, which is serving you. Since it's the 80th annual meeting of the cooperative, I thought it'd be nice to kind of take a step back, look at the cooperative as it is, just kind of look at the scale and complexity within which it operates, and then look at some of the challenges we see facing us in the future. Some of these we've talked about in the past, some of them are kind of new, but it's our responsibility to always be aware of the things that are coming at us. And then talk a little bit more about the 2019 initiative Empowering Our Communities. So as we begin to talk about Central, Mr. Davis hit on some of it. Your cooperative covers 2,000 square miles, and as he mentioned, that's 7 counties and 28 communities. Sometimes for myself, 2,000 square miles is just a number. But if I compare it to a couple of states, or something to compare it to, so the state of Delaware or the state of Rhode Island, you begin to kind of see the scale in which the cooperative kind of is responsible for operating and maintaining. And it's kind of neat to look at it like that. Within those 2,000 square miles, we have 4,500 miles of line to operate and maintain, provide you the service and reliability that you expect. When you see it on a map like this, it really kind of, you get that picture in your head. Some of that line is down county roads, easy to see. Some of it's behind your houses. Some of it's underground. Some of it may be, through a blind section. All of it, they operate and maintain the best they can, try to find the problems as quick as they can. Definitely it's a challenge at times. Sometimes the weather isn't always the best. We've been lucky with really bad weather the last few years. We kind of had a storm earlier this week, definitely created some challenges for the guys in the field, trying to get around. A lot of roads washed out, culverts washed out. We even had some taps we couldn't even get to just because they were flooded out. But we understand that you expect us to try to maintain that system reliability the best that we can. And we try to do that for you. So your cooperative is governed by 8 elected trustees, which you elect, and 80 employees operate on your behalf and serve the membership of the 20,000. This graph that you see, it kind of puts into scale the efficiency within which the cooperative operates. You see that just 80 employees up in the corner, and those represent 20,000 dots, which represent the membership. It kind of helps when you tie that with that 4,500 miles of line. We try to do our best to operate as efficient as possible. And it takes a team to accomplish that. It's not just the guys in the field. It's not just the people in the office. It's everybody working together. It's even the people behind the scenes that maybe you never meet. But everybody working together, pulling together to meet your needs. So even though you recognized them a while ago, I would like to really thank the employees, and if you would, join me in showing your appreciation. It's definitely, I've worked with a number of these people for a number of years, and I know that they take great pride in serving you the way they do. It's always our mission, and always will be our mission, to provide you safe, reliable service at an affordable rate, as Mrs. Dvorak mentioned. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. There's challenges coming in the future. We talk about it all the time. You read about it in the news. Some I'd like to hit on today that we're kind of looking at is just new technology, how it impacts the way we budget, the way we plan, the way we operate the system. Distributed generation. We all know that solar, battery, wind will impact us in the near future. And then urbanization. That's a trend that's becoming more of a global term, as people kind of seek some of the conveniences that communities offer. We're starting to, see that potential impact here within Central Service Territory. So when you look at urbanization, this is kind of a more of a global statistic, but by the year 2050, 2/3 of the world's population will become urban. It's just amazing. It really shows that it's not just a shift only just from rural America to the city. It's something that globally people are looking for something that the communities offer. So that's something, as a electric cooperative, that we try to pay attention to. So when you look at our membership specifically, 55% of our membership is 55 and older. 58% of our membership is a 1 to 2 person household. What kind of causes us to just watch this a little bit is, the trends show that that demographic segment is the one that does move more towards communities, more towards the convenience that those communities offer. Well, that's the majority of our membership. That majority of the membership is the one that holds true to the cooperative principles, understands that they have power as a member. So that's a concern for us. It's why we want to ramp up the education of the power of the cooperative model within the youth of America and some of our other demographic groups. So that's something we're watching on urbanization. And then new technology. We're all familiar with the companies that you see on the screen here. All these companies really try to integrate themselves into your lives. Learn your behaviors, just really kind of be a part of your life. I, for one, I've bought things on Amazon. The next time I go to Facebook, off to the side of Facebook, there's an ad for what I just bought on Amazon. Then I go to Google something, and off to the side of the Google page, there's an ad for what I just bought on Amazon. All these technologies working together to try to predict your behavior. How that impacts an electric utility can be something just as simple as a programmable thermostat. So on one side of the screen, you see a standard programmable thermostat. Definitely offer great value to any member. You can save energy, you can turn it off during the day. Comes on right before you get home. Save you a lot of money instead of running constant during the day. On the other side of the screen, you see a standard Nest thermostat. It's also a programmable thermostat. But what's different is it's also connected with 500,000 other thermostats across the nation. All those thermostats can be controlled from a company in California. So an example of how that impacts electric utility, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, we had the solar eclipse. Nest sent out a command to all the Nest thermostats, said, hey, can we turn you off for a couple hours during the solar eclipse? Well, unless you said no, the company in California, Nest, just sent out this signal, and the electric grid lost 700 megawatts of energy demand, just like that, just at the click of a button. I would bet that most electric utilities across the nation didn't expect to lose load in the middle of the day, just like that. That's not something they budget for, not something they plan for. So you begin to see how smart technologies can kind of impact the energy use at home. So if you couple that with a home full of that stuff, just full of smart appliances, smart water heaters, smart thermostats, battery power, even solar, you begin to see it really does change the load dynamics. The load dynamics is something that is kind of a predictable standard for us. We know pretty much around when you get up, pretty much around when you get home, because the energy use on the system increases. So with smart technology, it kind of shifts all that around and really changes the way we start looking at things in the future. So we run a few scenarios just to see what the impact would be at Central. So the line you see on the top orange line, that represents our 2019 residential sales prediction. So we ran some scenarios, plug in some technologies just to see what that would happen. We say it took 5 years to get to this point. So 5% of the membership did a smart water meter. You see that little bitty drip, or that dip, that stair step down. So 25% of the membership did a smart thermostat, like that Nest. It drops a little bit more. Say 2% of our membership, just 350 members, did a solar array. It drops a little more. And that solar array is designed just to offset maybe half the home use, not the whole thing. It drops a little more. And then one of the bigger drops is just LED lighting. And that's something that we all have to deal with now that they don't allow us to use incandescent bulbs anymore. That's just kind of a shift that's coming no matter what. We even tried to be a little bit positive and add some car charging back in, just because we know that will increase our sales, get us a little bit of revenue back, gives us a small bump, but we're just saying 2% of the membership within a 5-year window. Who knows how many members will get their electric vehicle charging, but definitely that's something we're watching. Now, while this graph may look somewhat alarming, if you notice that's just kind of the top segment of our overall sales. When you put it in perspective with everything, it's not as scary in this picture, but still, as a not-for-profit utility, you expect us to do the best we can with planning, preparing to ensure that we have the funds to operate and maintain the system and provide the reliability that you expect. So we look at this stuff, we do our best all the time. We're always trying to stay aware of trends and stuff like that. So one way that we're trying to combat this is not to push against technology, but to embrace technology ourselves. So we've talked about UAV in the past, or drones in the past. We actually used it a few times this week, trying to fly out something that was flooded. Definitely it saves some time. We can provide a little bit better inspection. We're still evolving with that, trying to use it more often. In the upper corner, you see our system operations center where we dispatch our crews from. We implement fault location technology to try to find problems that cause the outage in a much quicker fashion than we have in the past. I know I've spent hours and hours driving around trying to find problems at night. Now with new software, by embracing new technology, we kind of can get within a range of a few hundred feet maybe and find the problem much quicker. We can also use that same technology to analyze blinks on the system. If we find where that blink is, we can potentially prevent an outage in the future. So, Central invests in its employees, always trying to increase the skills and competencies within which everybody operates. So we're always efficient, always kind of ahead of the technology curve to be as efficient as we can and kind of offset some of those things that we see coming. Another way we do this is we test the impact of solar, battery, and EV charging at our headquarters at Central. Really trying to understand what is the potential impact if the majority of the membership went with solar and battery. What would we have to plan for? And with that, if anybody in the audience or any member you ever talk to is interested in looking at solar or battery or EV charging, we do this on your behalf. So any information we have, we'd be glad to share with you, help you size something appropriately. We're here to serve you for that matter. So some of the things I just mentioned, they're not just challenges for Central alone. They're challenges for the entire electric industry. But what's unique about Central Electric Cooperative, your cooperative is part of a cooperative network of 900 co-ops across the nation. These co-ops all work in a non-competitive environment. They share ideas, share information. So I can talk to a co-op in North Dakota, and they can say, hey, this is how I do this operational function. I save money for the membership and I'm much quicker. Well, right here in Oklahoma, we'll take that practice and we'll go with it. We'll embed it, try to do the best we can for the members. So being in a cooperative network is strong. That's an advantage of the cooperative model. But the cooperative model, while it's strong, is also flexible to meet your needs. Just like Mr. Davis mentioned with this Empowering Communities initiative. In that live bulb, you'll see the 28 communities he's mentioned, but you'll also see some of the surrounding communities that we don't actually serve. They're just kind of on the edges of our service territory. This is where the membership lives, works, plays, your children go to school. It's very important for us, and the founding fathers of the cooperative developed those cooperative principles and understood the power of investing in the communities. So that number 7 cooperative principle, concern for the community, is definitely something that we hold true to. We're excited about really pushing that forward this year. So while we're heavy in safety programs, general public knowledge about electricity safety, we want to be more engaged in the schools. We've had a lot of success lately bringing in schools to our facility, really educating them on how electric utility works. We kind of want to step that up a little bit this year and really talk about the cooperative model. The cooperative model is powerful, as I mentioned before. You can work together. Also, the member-owned model is really unique. What we're finding is the youth of America kind of like this cooperative model as opposed to just a standard for-profit business model. So we're trying to get that message out, especially if you consider the demographics charts that I showed you before. If the most engaged segment of our membership may be moving more towards a urban area, we want to make sure it's backfilled with people that understand the value of what they have. So hopefully you saw some of the chambers out in the lobby out there. We're trying to be more involved in all the chambers within our community, within our service territory. Being a part of those chambers, we want to be part of the parades. We want to do whatever we can that community needs, whether it's help find loans, grants, funding to spur economic development. We just want to be a part of the communities and make them healthy. Also, as Mr. Davis mentioned, you as a membership should be extremely proud of the Operation Roundup. That's a great initiative, and just rounding up that little bit that you mentioned is very impactful to the entire service territory. That's something that you as a membership can take great pride in. So, since Mr. Davis told me to keep it short, thank you for being here tonight. It's been an honor, and good luck with the prizes.
You're off to a good start, Hunter. At this time, I know you're here for three things. You're here for $10 off the meal card and the prizes. We're getting to that. You notice it at the end. So at this time, I'm going to ask Daniel Thrasher to come up and start with the prizes. Daniel?